So, Paul, for me, classic comfort food, shepherd's pie. It's got to be minced lamb,
yes,
right? Some root veg, slug of wine, good stock, bit of tomato, and a little bit of spice.
I would agree with nearly all that. I'm going to use a shoulder of lamb.
Right,
okay?
that's quite fancy.
Because what I like to do is I like to make shepherd's pie with the leftovers from yesterday's roast lamb. But I think you just get a lovely roasty sort of background flavour to it.
Right.
All right?
We'll see.
OK, I've got some onions and garlic frying in a casserole pot here, which I'm just allowing to go very, very slightly golden. And I'm going to add some herbs to that. Lamb, you straight away think of rosemary and thyme, don't you? So those are the two I'm going to do. I'm just going to give them a little chop because I'm not going to bother picking them out later. OK. Right, throw the herbs in. There we go. Now I'm going to add some root vegetables. I've got some swede and some carrot in my hand. I'm just going to sort of chuck in the amount that I think my shoulder of lamb will take.
And they're not going to break down too much?
No, they're going to cook down gently.
OK.
And they're going to stay as cubes, I hope.
Paul then adds diced parsnips to the pot along with Worcester sauce, tinned chopped tomatoes and chicken stock before the all-important roast lamb.
Now, I've done a whole one for today. Normally, there might be some bits just sort of hanging around in the fridge, which I would use, and I'm going to cut the meat off of the lamb. It's been studded with rosemary, as you can see.
Is it important it's cold, or would you ever sort of roast one off and strip it down warm?
You could do, but it would take you much longer, just simply because once it's cold, it's just much easier to handle, and you can sort of chop it up.
Paul dices the lamb before adding to the vegetables and leaves to simmer for an hour before he moves on to his accompaniment.
Remember we were talking about having something to cut through the fat? Well, I'm going to do a pickled red cabbage with it, which is very, very simple. It's cold, there's hardly any cooking involved. In this pan here, I've got some malt vinegar and some demerara sugar, equal amounts, which have just cooked down. It's taken on a sort of a glossy sheen, and it's thickened very slightly, and it's got that sort of sweet and sour balance of sugar and vinegar. And we're going to take some red cabbage, bung it into here. It's just very finely shredded. So, we're just going to... This is cooled down, by the way. I'm just going to pour some of that in there.
And is that going to pull out the juices from the...
Yeah, it will, definitely.
Cabbage?
It'll change in colour and it'll change in texture, and then we'll just serve a little pile of this on the side.
Righto.
And it's got a beautiful tangy flavour, which I think just cuts through the richness of the...
That's a nice idea.
Adding a little...
But does that not take a month
adding
to
a little
steep?
something to it. No, no, not at all, not at all. 24 hours would be good, but doesn't need a month. And then all I would do is every now and then I would turn it over so that all of the liquid drains back through the red cabbage, and then half an hour later I'd turn it over again.
Time for Matt to get going on his classic shepherd's pie by adding oil and minced lamb to a pan.
Break the mince down a bit, and then I'm going to leave it alone and brown it slightly. But again, not too much, because whatever it sets in, it'll be in that shape for the rest of the dish. Let's pull out some of that fat. I'm then going to get it out of here.
So you're going to drain some of the fat off?
Yeah, because it's minced.
Lamb is quite a fatty meat.
Exactly.
Once the mince has browned, Matt drains off the fat and then adds a little bit back to the pan before adding diced celery, carrots and onions. He then leaves the vegetables to cook down.
So you can see the caramelisation on the bottom of the pan there. Now, before it goes too far, let me get my garlic in.
OK.
Crushed garlic. Let's stick the whole twig of rosemary in. Now, to that, let's have some of the spice from the Worcester sauce, and that'll start bringing off the flavours from the pan.
He then adds a squeeze of tomato puree.
And then into there, glass of red wine.
So apart from this red wine, really, they're very, very similar. Similar recipes, aren't they?
Yeah, very similar.
Yeah.
Very similar. Right, let's season that now. OK, scrape the bottom. Already there's sort of the colours are looking good, and that's going to give you that nice, rich colour to the finished dish.
Yeah.
Matt then adds tinned plum tomatoes, the browned mince and some lamb stock to the dish.
So that's going to simmer for about an hour to an hour and a quarter, and that, Paul, is going to be perfect.